Yes, if I confirm, it's your boy Foxy P in the building. I like your boy. The chopper of them and the fryer of plantain. Yes, 1995, 1999 Gidigbo champion. The first Igbo governor of Lagos State. But once I yes, can I say yes, we fit. Yes, but I confirm. When in doubt, so that breast.
Yes, Father Confirm. Welcome once again to another episode of Africa Today Show. Breaking a couple of rules today. Anybody that knows me know I'm very big on branding. So number one, shooting Africa Today Show, not even in our studio. I'm shooting it actually in the basement of my house. Because my parents are sleeping right beside the studio. My guest room is right beside the studio. And it's about 3:35 a.m. on Tuesday, day of our Lord. So that's number one rule that I'm breaking. Number two rule, hopefully somebody will be able to notice the different thing about my appearance. We've been doing Africa Today Show now since I think 2010, maybe 2011. I think April 2011. And this is the first time I'm doing that one thing about my appearance. I've never done it before on Africa Today Show. Maybe somebody will notice. I'm sure somebody will. But anyways, appreciate you and I for coming on the show today. The reason why I'm shooting this show right now under this situation is because I have to say something about this thing. And that's the 2,000 people that died in northeast Nigeria over the weekend. And, social media as always is blowing up, going crazy. Tyrese, put up something. Boris Kudjo put up something. Even Lil Duval, a comedian out of Florida who's really big right now, is really blowing up. He has 2 shows on MTV, somebody I look up to from a professional standpoint. He said something about it like, how come nobody else is saying anything? How come foreign media is not saying anything? How come people in France, how come everybody's worried about what happened in France, but there's absolutely nobody that's talking about, what happened in Nigeria? And, for me, I take it that, people, you know how it is, white lives matter and all that kind of stuff. You can make all those arguments about, and then be able people, so yes, we'll talk about them some more. But I don't think it's the press. The press only covers what you tell it to cover. If you make a big deal out of something, it becomes a big deal to the press as well. But in this instance, you have like Charlie Hebdo, the I'm Charlie movement and everything else, off of the fact that you had like these terrorists. I don't like calling people terrorists because it gives them too much levels. I will just call them and say they're animals. Some wild animals just went and carried gun and went and shoot. These people that are working in this Charlie Hebdo is like a publication, like a regular small publication. What do they do? Like 50,000 copies every week or something like that. And they put some pictures or some drawing of Prophet Muhammad. Those ones now lost their minds. And this thing, they put it up a long time ago. And then that's the one went and shoot the people that are the cartoonists that drew the thing. I think the difference between Charlie Hebdo and the less than 20 people that are in that whole France parole and what happened in Nigeria is the fact that you have less than 20 people that died in France. The response was swift. The government went in there, pursued those people, killed them. Now they're even looking for the girlfriend of another guy that was involved in the whole parole. And then at the end of the day, they now had a 1.5 million people march on Sunday. Compare that to Nigeria, where 2,000 people just mud. And it's almost like it didn't happen. Like, I swear to God, I follow Nigerian news. I think I do a pretty decent job of following Nigerian news. I have all those little things, Google News, you have the alert that you can set up. So anytime anything big that comes up about Nigeria that has more than 20 articles, something is trending on Google News that's about Nigeria, I get like an alert on my phone, boom. So I'm on top of all these kind of things, on Twitter, I have like things set up like that so that way I know what's going on. Even if I can't go out there and reach and catch it myself, I have things coming in. Plus, I'm a really huge follower of a lot of the big, between Linda AKG and all them blogs and, Bella Nigeria and all them gossip blogs and everything else who also cover real news. Let's keep it real. They have the Nigerian websites, the news websites, all them, Punch and This Day and Guardian. When I wake up in the morning, that's the first thing I do. Spend at least 30 minutes, just going through on all those different websites, trying to see what's going on. Of course, I'm on my boy, Shegun Prime, Info Nubia's websites as well. Just gathering as much information. Play the forum game in Ireland. Going on there. And I will not lie to you, that massacre that happened almost didn't happen on Nigerian media. Right? The Nigerian newspapers barely carried it. So to you, just looking at it, you think, Boko Haram not going to kill people again. It wasn't until people started breaking the news, like CNN broke the news, BBC broke the news, talking about the numbers. And what the Nigerian government do, they're coming back and they're talking about, oh, I don't think it's 2,000 though. I mean, they keep people low, but I know things are like 2,000 though. You know, that's boom. That's how the information started trickling. And of course, when they showed up, when the Boko Haram people showed up, the military ran away, all those kind of things. And you know, at first, my first reaction was like one of disgust, and I was like, now why, man, again. I almost didn't want to do this video because then I'll sound like a broken record. Every single time Boko Haram do something, folks, people must come outside and they must yarn about the same things again. So I was not thinking to myself, you know what? Thank God, said election there around the corner. People go fit do it and they're supposed to do to react to the situation. But then I constantly think something. Say, if you have a situation where 2,000 people are massacred in one single attack, and you have an election coming up, this is 2,000 people. Never ever in the history of Nigeria have we ever had 2,000 people. I'm looking back in the history of terrorism as a whole. I think besides the killing of 9/11, I don't know in my own lifetime or if 2,000 people have ever been killed in one single attack from terrorism. Looking at the history of Nigeria now, where we sit in the eyes of the world, where we've had more Nigerians, or more people have been killed in Nigeria for terrorism than the entire world combined in 2014. You know, there's certain statistics that when you hear them, you they bust. You can't think, but you know, Syria, they still get their own wahala, but that one is civil war, it's not even terrorism no more. You're like, but ISIS, they kill people, and everybody's talking about ISIS. ISIS never killed Boko Haram. Oh, but Taliban and everything they do for Afghanistan and the whole, like, you know, Iraq and all that kind of stuff, they don't die reach Nigeria in the past year. So if you look at the entire world, Chechnya, everything, all the hot spots that you have around the world, Ukraine, I waited and go through Russia, I was like, damn, really? That's how it is? So I was now like, is it possible that with this 2,000 people, Nigerians will now say, you know what, we have an election coming up. We're already saying that these people that are empowered, they're not really taking care of us, they're not really doing the right things, they're not really taking care of what they're supposed to be doing from a military standpoint, diplomatic standpoint, any which ways you're supposed to do to protect your citizenry, you're not doing it. So people, I assume that, you know, I mean, common sense is not common, but you know, they get us, you go take pursue Nama. It will come look and say, what do they worry you now? I big pass you, come carry and Hong Kong near you. Is it possible that Nigerians will now look at it and say, you know what, with these 2,000 people that just key now, just how many weeks before election, you know what, we're going to vote these people out. We're going to change government. We're going to do what we need to do. Their mind becomes strong. Because let me tell you something that's interesting about Nigerian elections. There is a significant amount of apathy that I can't think of any other culture, any other country that has the same level. I think the corruption is so much. The people, especially the youth, and we have a young. Nigeria is one of the countries, one of countries in the world. It's very big in like developing countries, where I think over like 60% of our population is less than like 30 years old or something crazy like that. So it's extremely young. I think when you have a country that has a low like life expectancy, I think Nigeria is like, what is it, like 52 or 54 years? That's how old they expect men to live to, or something ridiculous like that. You know, whereas America is like, what, 82 or something like that. So there's a low age that you're supposed to expect people to. So people, they die young, relatively. So because of that, you now have a high number of people who are younger than older people, because people don't live that long. So you have that. So there's a lot of youth in Nigeria, and they have that apathy. They have that feeling of like, you know what, regardless of what we want to do for this election, if we go vote, we will kill ourselves, we will make sure say we vote. And so we could just wake up the next morning, we could just see ballot box on our street, where all our voting cards still inside there, and nothing is going to change because our votes are not going to count. So you have those kind of situations, you know, people don't feel like their votes will count for anything. But I say, you know, this time, if you look all those people that does it in Nigeria, than 170 million, if you do that percentage, at least 100 million has to be youth. And if those youth vote, they go come out, and how you want to rig that and get us to go to rig something. We say, no, it makes sense again. So they go change the government. And that's how I was feeling. And then something can't wipe me for head, as in from the wrongest side of my head. If I say they play table tennis, you can't see person where they tell you say I want poor black. You're like, how? Which on this we're playing table tennis here? Suppose they tell me say you want can tap me. What are you telling me you want to pot black? Are we playing pool? I saw this just enter my head. I was not like, is it possible? And I won't make it not bear with me here because you have to put your thinking cap up from this one. Is it possible that this thing where they don't talk since say Boko Haram is being supported by certain northern politicians who believe that it is time for the North to rule Nigeria again? Put down for one pocket too. Is it possible that the timing of this massacre that almost seems like those people for that village never do them anything, no? But they just decide something, they just can't wipe everything and wipe them out completely. Is it possible that the timing was created so that way the rest of Nigeria will talk to me, you know what? Damn! 2,000 people that ain't die. You know what? More come on, Jonathan. More come put in these other people. Where in fact that's the plan. You understand? They don't prove when they talk for Igbo language and they talk say, depending on the animal way they hunt, they get as you go take pursue. If you know what the end game is, if you know what you want as your end game, they get as you go take approach them. Is it possible now we say they don't set this whole thing up now, so we go kind of run in that direction thinking say, oh yeah, more command people they in power. And then more put them in. It was just something that just came into my mind. I don't know if this is right. I don't know whether it's true. Question of the day. Do you think certain politicians are behind Boko Haram? Should we expect more attacks as the election comes closer to force Nigerians into changing the current government? But one thing I will say is this. Regardless of the decision what people make, something has to change. And for me, I'm looking at it like if you look at other democracies, look at other countries, if you think of the downfall of any other presidency or any other government, think about Lyndon Johnson, LBJ, here in America, where we say he escalates Vietnam War from a situation where we say the US had like 30,000, people out there in Vietnam, just giving them some kind of technical support, not really fighting the war per se. Maybe then they train them South Vietnam people to go attack the North Vietnam communist or socialist people, to escalating it to almost having like 500,000 US soldiers in there, putting in the draft, carrying people, children, pop Pekins, does they die anyhow, pretty much in the middle of that whole love fest thing, we're going to talk, say love not war and everything else, the Beatles being involved and all that kind of singing and everything else, very unpopular war. Because of that, the guy was voted out of power. And you've had it happen so many times all around the world, where the government is not doing what they're supposed to be doing. A government that's there, that's very popular. One of the hardest things in the world, I always say it is this, one of the hardest things in the world is to vote out a sitting president. It's extremely difficult. Because now that president, I don't care how little corruption you have. Your fuck up has to be on a major level. People don't say they has to treat your fuck up for them to come at you. So it has to be really, really major. So it was something else. I was like, I'm off of this thing, man. The gas to vote this guy come out. But at the same time, she not snooker in a snooker house like this. But something has to give. I was listening to the NPR today, and they were asking it wasn't a Secretary of State, it was one of these high people waiting for the US government. They say, no, for US government, for British government. I say, why we say Syria? Quick. Now, I know they talk about saying I want to go help them militarily. Why we say anywhere else, South Sudan, and I want to go help them militarily. But Nigeria, see what's happening in Nigeria, and people don't want to help. Now the guy open my contact say, well, Nigeria is by far one of the richest countries in Africa. Nigeria has the biggest oil deposits. Nigeria, there's a lot of money being made in that country. Also, Nigeria has a robust government. A robust democratic government that's elected by the people. Nobody's arguing that. So they should be able to take care of their own problems. That is a domestic issue. The guy talking and looks at, damn, there you go. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, when they look US, when they look UK, when they look all these other guys, Germany, when they go airports, they looking at us and saying that you're a big boy. Put your pants up. So that thing just entered my soul. I started to share with you guys, to see maybe me, I'm just the one that's mental. Or maybe somehow you guys have also come across the same kind of rationalization. If you follow Africa Today show, you've seen that my thought process around Boko Haram has gone all over the place. It went from, Nigerians, we don't care about each other, these people, they're coming and they're doing things and we know if we go, we injure them. It's gone up from there to, Boko Haram, they don't hook us. Hands up, don't shoot. They don't hook us. Our military cannot even do them anything. Get them waiting they want. So now I'm just like, and they use us play Koso. Is that what this is? Human lives have no value anymore. 10-year-old girls, now they go they do bombing blasts. Now can you imagine? 10 years old, my neck. 10 years old. How old are you in 10 years old? Just 2. You never even started to wear trousers that go school safe. No baby for your leg, nothing. 10 years old girl. Never even start period. Never even understand life yet. 10 years old. And then they go do suicide bombing. What do you know? Forget about brainwashing. What do you know? There's no brain to be washed. They know they deceive small picking. You go down and say, you go and do this, you go do it. So imagine the lack of respect for life. That's crazy, man. That's beyond human being. Yeah, one thing I'm looking forward to, and I pray that God will keep us alive, because this always happens. If you think about the worst kind of terrorists, people who we call consider terrorists, think about people like Yas. You know how over time, when history is pretty much a group of stories that people agreed on. Whatever you read in a history book, people don't agree. So okay, that's what we want to explain this whole story. And the one we know sweet them, they could just play on the side and live on like that, live on for Jesus. Think about people like Yasser Arafat. At a point in time, Yasser Arafat, with his ties to the Palestine PLO, the Palestine Liberty Organization or whatever that was, Liberation Organization or what, PLO, his ties with Black September. These were huge terrorism outfits, where they go bomb, Jews and all kinds of stuff. Over time, Shabi Yasser Arafat can't come outside. You can't see his face, can't see who he be, all the people he killed and everything else. Think about Sinn Féin, think about the IRA, where we said that they bomb all kinds of things for UK. Eventually, 30 years, 40 years after they bomb, where they don't kill small children, where they bomb children where they waka, we see their face. We see who them be. I can't wait for the day where we will see the face of these people who lead this Boko Haram movement. And I want to know. Because at that time, how history is. Over time, we forget. Wounds are healed. All the bad things what we don't do. You could also hear say, what? It's okay. It's done. No victor, no vanquished. Think about the Biafran War. And think about how many people were killed. Think about the Black Scorpion. And all the people that were involved. Murtala Mohammed. Think about the things where they do people during that time. And then over time, you go on, say, what didn't do them. But over time, it's considered to be nothing. It's considered to be things happen. Time has moved. Time don't happen. You don't move on. One day, those Boko Haram people will come outside. It may not be now. It may not be 5 years from now. Maybe 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. They even run for election, governorship. They go even collect a senator. You go still there, the drag, say, yeah, we're freedom fighters. But ladies and gentlemen, I want you to join me. More pray. I feel no day alive, but hopefully when I go there alive, look inside that person's face, and just try to understand how somebody can feel it's right for you to not only massacre human beings, men, women, children, young, old, infirmed, well, diseased, healthy. Send small children, 10 years old, 11 years old, girls, boys. Let them just explode themselves. And they feel that it's right. Look inside that person's face. And hopefully, you'll be able to see the reason. Because at this point in time, I don't understand them for nothing. But who am I? Just a thought on YouTube. Anyways, appreciate you not dying. I'm gonna take it easy, man. As always, whenever I end this show, anything we know dying, I vote and when in doubt, suck that breast. Ginger.